I know Caroline, I know Stephanie, I know Ashley, and I know Carrie. So I know everybody, but I'm thrilled to have Carrie. Carrie's from Michigan. Well, you can introduce yourself, Carrie, but she's somebody I've known since she was a little girl. So I'm excited to have her be part of the Birdathon. She participated last year, and I think it was a lot of fun. So.
Yeah, I'm Carrie Turner. Yeah, I'm a budding birder, nowhere near the category of Susie. But yeah, Susie's a good friend of my mom's, and yeah, we've known each other for years. So she recruited me. I used to live in Richmond, so you know, before the Cope Environmental Center existed. So excited to support something in my hometown.
Oh, that's great. Well, thank you for joining us, Caroline.
Yeah, I'm Caroline Cope. I'm Jim and Helen Cope's daughter-in-law. I also grew up in Richmond, but I live outside of Ithaca, New York now. And I'm actually on here for my granddaughter, who was did the Birdathon last year with her cousins. I'm not sure if she's going to be alone this year or whether we're going to have some other cousins join us. But anyway, I guess I'm not going to be the birder, but I'll be the coordinator.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
I saw she's got her books already and
Yes.
binoculars. And
Now, how old is your granddaughter?
She's 8.
Okay.
So, we had her 2-year-old sister here today babysitting, and she knows Junko and she knows Chickadee.
All right.
For a long time, every bird was chicken, and she knows pecker. Anything that makes the right noise is a pecker.
right. Well, I mean, that
great.
seems logical. So it looks like Jean has also joined us. Jean, did you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm kind of new to this group. I met Susie through pickleball. I've been a birder for, ever since I was a little kid. I'm originally from Illinois, but I'm in Richmond now. But I'm having a hard time sharing my screen, but my internet is terrible. So it said the leader would not let me share. So I don't know if that is true or not.
I think, can you turn on your camera without sharing your screen? Your video in the lower left?
Maybe.
Yeah, it looks like you might just have something. Do you have anything?
Well, I tried start video earlier and that wouldn't work either.
No, that's too bad.
Oh shoot, now I'm off totally. Yeah, I'll just have to be invisible.
That's okay. Maybe we can, when we do some birding out here at Cope, we'll be able to meet you in person.
And Jean, if you have further questions, I'll be able to help you.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to see what it was all about. This will be my first time doing this Birdathon, so.
Jean has moved here from Illinois, is that correct, Jean?
Right.
Okay, and she's been to a couple of TEDs, the Spring Bird Sit and the Birding 101. So she's gotten involved a little bit in Cope, and we found out she was a birder, Sherry and I did, and we said, wow, this is great. So anyway, she's a good birder, and she's on Sherry's team, so that's great.
Oh, excellent. And so kind of that next step as we move forward is everybody on PledgeIt, have they been able to register, or do we need to walk through that process tonight?
Caroline is not.
I haven't tried yet. I was sort of waiting to see how many grandchildren I was going to have with me, but maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe I should
that's totally fine. So yeah. I'll just go ahead and start screen sharing, and we'll just talk about Birdathon a little bit and then look at the packet. So I'm going to share that here. Let's go over to the right screen. There we go. Okay, so this is the Birdathon packet. So you can find this in multiple spots. You could go to our website. And we have this great header page right here that you could click on this button and look for more Birdathon information. Or you could go to Engage and go down to Annual Events. And then click on Birdathon. So this page on our website is kind of a one-stop shop for all of the information that you would need. This great big button right here that I'm highlighting is the PledgeIt, is the link to go to PledgeIt. So that's where all of our progress for the campaign is going to be registered. So you'll be able to see your donations tracked, your birding progress, all that good stuff, and see all the other teams and individuals who are registered to take part in the Birdathon. So in addition to these resources, if we scroll down, we have these accordion tabs for assisting documents here. So if we were to click on this registration instructions for PledgeIt, Caroline, this might be a good resource for you as well after we go through the walkthrough. If there's any steps that we go over too quickly or you have some questions about, you could use this document and you would just click on the little highlighted here is a link. And this is a document that kind of shows you how to click through the process when we go to the charity.pledgeit.org page. And so this is a useful document for you to send on to your team members if you're a team captain, or to send on to anybody who's interested in registering but doesn't quite know how.
And this would be where, oops, I was going to show Caroline that, can you go back to that page?
Yeah, absolutely.
You can, for your grandchildren, if you create the team, you'll want to then have them join an existing team.
Which we can walk through that when we start on PledgeIt as well.
Yeah. So, or if a person wants to bird by themselves, or if they want to create a team. So that's kind of what that first part is about. And Ashley will go into more detail later.
Yep. And then the packet, like we just referenced, that we're going to go through to start is also available on the website here. And also it's just a little highlighted green here button click that I had highlighted there. So we're going to click on the CEC Birdathon packet. And then it is this little click right here. All right. So many of you already know what the Birdathon is or took part in it or were aware of it last year. So our Birdathon is like a walkathon or a readathon, except we're counting bird species instead of books or steps. And we're going to be recruiting sponsors to help us raise funds for Cope Environmental Center. So the challenge is going to take place between May 7th and May 23rd. So anytime starting May 7th all the way through the end of the day on May 23rd, capture any bird species you can in your checklists and build a team or take part solo. We'll go through those options here below. So I think most of us are taking part in a team format, but you can also let people know that they can bird by themselves. They can bird solo. And so that would be just an individual keeping a checklist and searching for donors who will pledge money for the different amount of species that they see. So they could sponsor you with a, say, 25 cents per bird, or a flat donation of, say, they want to give you $5 in total. So they could just give you a flat donation of $5 to support your birding. Or you have two options on joining a team. So we, Susie and I have been working together to connect with the teams to see what kind of team you're going to fit into. So if you are within a 100-mile radius of CEC, so that's you and all of your other 5 team members, then that means you're seeing about the same kind of birds that others that are local would see. So you'd be considered a local team.
And Ashley, we might add that we sort of talked about this, and that 100 miles is not exact. In fact, we probably should have made it a little bit wider. Basically, that means you're not going to a whole different habitat area like to California or Alaska or Costa Rica or someplace like that.
Right.
But the pretty much Indiana, Ohio radius of,
Yeah, it's just kind of a regional collection. So that way we're seeing, I mean, it's a lot of cornfields and forests and a little bit of wetlands and water features, but we won't see any, coastal birds or anything like that in our area. And then also we're in the same kind of a temperature gauge and everything too, and that distance that we're trying to see the same amount of birds. And then the other type of team is a distant team. So that's birding anywhere in the world. Last year we had teams who had multiple members in different states. We had a team that had a member abroad. So you would be considered a distant team if you or any of your other 5 team members are out of state or country, unless that is within kind of that, like Susie was saying, that Indiana, Ohio, maybe, southern Michigan, potentially. I'm not sure how far that 100
Well,
mile radius
yeah,
would be.
the checklist would basically be the same for those people. This year we have people in Mexico and Brazil so far.
Oh, that's great.
So
And if you,
they
this
would
also-
definitely be a distant team.
And you're also considered a distant team if you're going to be traveling during that time too. So it's basically wherever you're seeing the birds is how your team gets kind of designated. And so the other thing with teams, of course, it's no more than 6 per team, but that doesn't mean you have to have 6 to be a team. It could be a team of 2, 3, 4, 5, anything under the 6 per team kind of limit. And then also the fun thing with teams is that you get to build a name for your team, and your team captain is the only one that does final reporting to COPE. So you just connect with your team captain, or all of your team members connect with you if you are the team captain to do the reporting to be eligible for awards. So, and we can kind of go over awards really quickly. You can see them there. We've expanded these just a little bit from last year. So we have 3 kinds of most species seen. So it's most species by individual. And so this can be someone who's a solo birder or someone who's on a team. So say Susie out of her team sees 260 species, and that is the most number of species any individual sees. She would be in that award category. Even though she's on a team, it would be her solo birding progress that would get her that spot. And then most species seen by a local team. So within that vaguely 100-mile radius, most species seen by a distant team. So that's kind of why we split that up, so that local teams would have a chance to take part in awarding. And so they're not on the same kind of ability as the distant teams. And then we have two categories for pledges. So most money raised by a team, and that can be local or distant. There's not a separation for that category. And then most money raised by an individual. So that could be, like again, we'll use Susie as an example. She say she raises the most money of any individual birder. Even though she's on a team, she could be a contender for that spot as well. And then just like we did last year, for any of your donors, or for if you're collecting pledge for another team, or if you decide to pledge for your own team, we are offering a membership to be complimented to pledgers who give over $50 or more. And that's a total combined gift too. So if you give $25 to Susie's team and $25 to Stephanie's team, you would be eligible for a free individual membership complimentary with your pledge. So that can be kind of a point for your donors too, if they want to take part in being a member at COPE. Their pledge kind of goes twice the way to get them a family membership or individual membership or a family membership, depending on their giving, and support their birder. So we provide all of the tools and all the instructions like we're doing now for all of your birding. So another great spot for us to find tools and those that information to inform your birding besides this packet is also on the website. So we'll go back to that accordion that we were looking at. And the third one is called Bird ID Resources. So if we click that, we have a couple of helpful links here that could help inform your birding. So if you need ID help, your local checklist, and some of our beginning birders, Carrie, I know you said you were getting into birding, so you could use this link from the Indiana Audubon or your local Audubon to look at the backyard birds of your region. So you could kind of be informed by some of these resources that we have. Cornell Lab is also a really great resource for just general birding. And we'll probably be adding to this a little bit too. So check back and see if we have any more resources that can help inform your birding and get you out there to ID some birds for the Birdathon.
And I think every state would have an Audubon checklist for the entire state, which I would recommend people get, even if they use, we've got a fledgling list on here that I think Ashley will show us, but
Yep.
you will probably find at least some birds that are beyond the fledgling list. And so to keep your numbers straight, you might use the fledgling list, but then transfer them to the total, like for Carrie, the Michigan bird list. Caroline, for you, the New York bird list.
Sounds good.
And so we can go over, we'll come back to the team captain responsibilities and do those more in detail, but this packet is the other version of that access to the tools and instructions you need for Birdathon. So the second page is the team captain responsibilities, or if you're a solo birder, if you're turning in, if you're a team of one and you're just turning in your own information, this also applies for you. And so we'll go over this in detail in just a second. This packet also includes our final report form. So this is if you're a team captain or if you're a team of one or a solo birder, this is what you're going to turn into COPE to make sure you're eligible for awarding consideration. So it's pretty straightforward. This is all you would send in back to COPE, and this also can be sent via mail. You could scan it and email it to COPE. Or you could provide it digitally in any other format that you can get to us. And so you fill out your name, your team name, if you're a team captain, your team members. If you're not a team, it would just be your individual name again. And then you would just total up your pledges that your different team members or you have collected, your total amount raised by you or your team, and then the total number of bird species seen by you or your team. And so,
And Ashley, the PledgeIt app, which that's where they will get their total number collected by their team members. They don't have to keep track as you go along. PledgeIt will do that for you.
Yeah, that's the benefit of using this online platform, which is PledgeIt, which we've been talking about. And a few of you have already gone on and registered. It's a really great way to collect all that information from your team members in one spot. So you don't have to do a bunch of emailing back and forth or them sending, their pledges to you or anything like that. And so then our next resource on here is our birds by habitat list. So this is just another kind of assisting document that can kind of help you with different locations and what kind of birds you might see in those habitats. And then our last resource on this packet is the fledgling birder checklist that Susie referenced. So this is a great starting point for regional birds, at least in this area. Susie, how far do you think this this kind of fledgling checklist spreads? Would this be relevant for Caroline as well?
Probably.
Oh, they'll be, yes, because a lot of these birds are Eastern birds and she'll recognize them.
Yeah.
And so
Okay,
will
great.
Carrie.
Yeah, and then there's plenty of space too for you to say you are just starting out, and so you could actually use this fledgling bird checklist and then just add in the other birds that aren't listed on here. So say you see something that's a little bit more regional to where you're at or a little bit more rare, you could write it out in this list and continue that count.
And Ashley, I would suggest for captains to share this if they have some new birders on. And again, these are in basically the same order that would be on their, say, their state checklist. And the only thing that the captains need to collect from their team members is their checklist so that the captains can make a master checklist to see how many birds your team saw. And you can use, so you can use this, or if your team members want to just use the Michigan checklist or the New York or even the Indiana and add. And what I did last year, I took the person that had the most birds, which was 100. And then I took all the team members and I went through to see if there were any birds that they saw that I didn't see. I had the 100, and there were about 20. So all you need is one number for your full team, and it's all in the honor system. You don't have to turn in any checklists except just the number, and that's what will be on that final report. This is how many birds our team saw.
Right. So if Susie is collecting her team members' checklists and 3 of her members see Canada geese, that would be just a 1 count for one of her team members seeing Canada goose in the final checklist. So
yeah. So is that kind of clear to everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Does PledgeIt take a percentage of what people donate? And, is there any advantage to people paying us directly or paying CEC directly as opposed to doing it through PledgeIt?
Yeah, it's really just personal preference. We actually chose PledgeIt as the preferred platform because they don't charge a fee. We actually incur the cost of the credit card processing ourselves. So PledgeIt actually, they have when you go to checkout, and we'll walk through and show you what this looks like, but they actually have an optional tip system. So if you wanted to thank PledgeIt for offering us this service for free, you're welcome to individually add on. I think the default amount is 15% of your pledge, but it's completely optional, and you do not have to choose to give any amount of your dollars to PledgeIt directly. It all comes to COPE.
Okay, thanks.
Alrighty, so we will go back through the team captain responsibilities and walk through those really quickly. A lot of these points we already kind of made talking about the Birdathon in general. So teams can be anyone from 1 person as a solo birder to teams of no more than 6. You're going to be doing your birding and asking for support along the way. And this support is not required. You don't have to ask any donors for a pledge. You can just get out there and bird. We ask that you attempt to inquire that kind of support if you have it, to support COPE for sponsoring this event. But otherwise, it's completely up to you. And then we are providing all of the resources that you need to take part in this event. Of course, as a team captain, we ask you to encourage your team members to get out and see as many bird species as possible. A large part of this event for us is educating on local birds and getting involved with your local wildlife. So that's really important to us. So we really want to engage you in the outdoors with bird wildlife with this event. So like Susie talked about when we were talking about the fledgling checklist, that number 5 is that you're going to collect your checklist of all your species of birds that you've seen. If you're an individual, you're just going to do your individual account. If you're a team captain, you're going to gather all of your team members' checklists and do a master checklist of your combined number of species. So that way you can compete for most species seen for your team. PledgeIt is going to be our online platform that we are going to be keeping all the data basically of this campaign. We'll be able to see, anyone will be able to see each team's progress, each individual's progress, and then overall amount raised for the campaign. So that's really cool. This also shows the leaderboard for individuals and for teams. So you can see where you stack up against other teams and other individuals if you're really interested in awarding. And we'll get into this a little bit further into the campaign, but there will be 2 check-in dates. And basically what that means is that there's going to be 2 opportunities for you to update how many birds you've seen. So PledgeIt will be sending you an email to have you update how many birds you've seen so far in the challenge. So the first update will be on May 16th, and the second one will be at the end of the Birdathon on May 23rd. At this time, we can also let those, we can talk about this a little bit more when we go to checkout, when we look at what it looks like to give a pledge to a birder. But this is also a check-in time for your sponsors to change their pledges if they're interested. So if they give a per bird amount, they can reduce or increase their pledge to you based on your progress. So that's really nice with PledgeIt.
So that's it. Like, for instance, on that, if somebody says, I will give you 50 cents a bird, and you say you're going to see 60 birds, they would expect to give you about $30. But if you get really good at this and all of a sudden you've seen 100 birds, you don't want to go back to them and say, whoops, I told you 30, but I saw 100. So this check-in date will give you an opportunity to adjust that. And then I don't know, Ashley, does it then contact the person who made the pledge to tell them they can?
Yep. So if any of your donors give to your team or to your account individually, that first between the start date on May 7th and May 16th, they will get an email update on May 16th when you do your update to let them know how many birds you've seen. So say you really knock it out of the park the first week and you have somebody join you as a donor for 25 cents a bird starting on May 7th. They'll get a notification that they pledged per bird and this is your progress, and say they're interested even in increasing their amount. So say you only see half of your goal in the first 2 weeks and they really want to support you at a certain level, they can also choose to increase their gift to 75 cents per bird or at a total giving amount. So they could just change that they want to give overall a flat amount of so and so dollars by the end of the Birdathon. And then they'll also get another notification on the 23rd. So say you find somebody the last half of the challenge after May 16th that decides to support you as a per bird donation. It also gives them a chance to update their pledge if you really knock it out of the park or if you don't see as many birds as you thought you would. And we've already kind of gone over the final report form. So that's the only thing that needs to come back to COPE after you finish the challenge. And so that needs to be turned in by June 1st to be able to be applicable for awarding for any of the prize levels. And then, of course, as a team captain, if you are a team captain, you're the main contact for your team to answer any questions. But of course, we'll be here for support whenever you need us. So if there's any questions that you have on PledgeIt throughout this process or after this training, feel free to send me personally an email, or you could also email Susie. And I'll throw both of our email addresses into the chat if you're able to see that. So that way you can reach out to us at any time. And there's also multiple ways for you to reach us on our website too. And you can also just call the center and leave a message for us or talk to us directly if we're in the office.
Hey, Ashley, can I ask you a couple questions? Can we return that form by email versus just mailing it in? Like, will there be a digital version? I'm trying to figure out what PledgeIt is actually tracking. It sounds like it's mostly tracking donations, but is there a way to return the master bird list to you virtually?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So if you go to the Birdathon page and you're wanting to download the packet digitally, so we're back on the website here, you would go to that second tab on the accordion and click that highlighted here. And then there's this really fun logo up here in the top that looks like a little arrow pointing at a flat bar. That is the download button. So you can download that and save it into your files. And if you have Adobe Reader, you can open up that PDF and fill it in digitally, or you can print it and write on it and then scan it back to us here at COPE via email.
Okay, could we just take a photo of it and
yeah, that works as well. Yeah.
Okay. And then my second question, is it possible for team captains to add members or do they have to add themselves? I'm struggling to figure out how to do that.
There's multiple options when we come to that. So they could, if you have someone who, like Caroline Cope is working with really young ones, what she could do is she could build multiple accounts for those kiddos on PledgeIt. So that would be one option. She could email me and let me know what details she wants those accounts to say, and I could build them for her. Or she could have them do it if they're interested in registering online or are able to, they could also do it themselves as well. So we don't have to, all of your members don't have to be extremely tech savvy. We can go around that. And then also Pledge is really just a place for us to be able to track progress and get some of that competition. So if you have someone who's very anti-technology, doesn't own a computer or smartphone and wants to stay away from all of that, as long as they're turning in a final report form and if you're a team captain, you're updating your overall team total, then you're good to go.
Ashley, I might go over my experience today, which I was attempting to help a friend actually create a team. And what I discovered was basically you do the same thing. You go to the same place, but instead of saying create a team, you click on join a team. But what you have to have is that person's email, and then you need to be able to create a password for that person. And the password can be very simple. It doesn't need capitals and numbers and all that stuff, some easy word. And then basically they will have their own account. Is that correct? I mean, I was unsuccessful in my try. So I wanted to make sure other people have a better experience than I have. And I don't know what I did wrong other than I knew.
Just the remembering the password that you create for the account is definitely huge. But also if you run into any issues too, the PledgeIt platform is really great with their support. We've already reached out to them several times about some bugs that we ran into early on that helped us make it better. So if there's anything like you forget a password, or if you create an account and you don't like how it looks, there's text wrong, or if it has your name spelled wrong or anything like that, I'm able to make a lot of back end edits myself as well. So you could just send us an email and let us know, hey, I'm having some issues with XYZ on PledgeIt, and we can get it started.
I think what happened to me was I evidently misspelled the password that I created, because then I could not get back into that account. That's the only thing I can think of, because they just kept saying your password didn't work. So if you run into questions like that, Ashley is great, and I hated to be the first one to bother her with that, but I did, and we're still. Hopefully, it'll be fixed here soon.
Yeah. So
I'm wondering that just for doing this with my granddaughter or any additional is if I put it in her name but with my email address.
Yes, that's completely fine.
So everything comes to me, but when it's listed, how many birds a person got, it comes under her name.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that would absolutely be fine. And whatever just makes sense for you to get emails for is perfect. So
Caroline, are you going to be birding as well?
I'll be with her, but I'm not going to count my.
You're not going to create an account for yourself.
No.
Okay, because the problem, the problem with that is they'll keep telling you already have an account.
You'll need to use, there's only, you can only use one email address per account. Okay. So you would have to use an alternative email address or reach out to me, and I'm sure we can figure out something to get them.
Yeah, because if she has more than one grandchild, then she'll be wanting to use her email address for more than one account. Right. So we'll probably have to figure that one out.
Okay. Yeah. Well, or I could use their parents, and their parents can do the work, Well,
that would work too.
Yeah. Right. I mean, the other person, Eddie will be with her as well, and he is on a team, but it will be under his email, not mine. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
All righty. So we'll jump into PledgeIt, and so we're going to act like we just opened the web page. And so we're going to click on this button here, or like I said, you can go to engage and go down to annual events and click Birdathon. If you're really good with web addresses, it's also a very simple web address too. If you want to just go to this page directly, it's copeenvironmental.org and then /Birdathon, all one word, no spaces. And then we're going to go to this big fun button. And so PledgeIt, you can tell it immediately because it's got this great picture of this bird. And so this is our
What is that
website
bird,
page.
Ashley?
I don't know, Susie.
It's a great crested flycatcher.
Okay. So you can look at this picture of this flycatcher and know that you're going to the right space. So we're going to click on this, click here to register or pledge on PledgeIt. And then again, the URL, if you want to go here directly, is pretty simple as well. There's no www dot in front of this. It's just charity.pledgeit.org. And then it's /CEC Birdathon. So I'm going to switch over to another screen and we'll do all of the walkthroughs for registration, and we'll create a test account and show you how that goes. That screen pulled up here. Okay, so we are on PledgeIt now. So we are going to create an account. And so if you are a donor, we can go through that process first. If you want to support somebody, there's several ways to do it. So if you're indicating someone to give to just the Birdathon in general, they don't have a team they want to support or anything like that. They just want to support COPE. They could click this pledge button here, which I've got highlighted. And so whenever you click this, it allows you to choose a fundraiser or team, or you can just make a general donation. So say we are going to make a general donation. We don't have a team that we want to support. And so we click make a general donation. And we're going to decide to give $25. And this is just going to be a $25 donation to the COPE Environmental Center Birdathon. So we've chosen our amount. You can also click custom donation amount and put, say, $27 in there. Say that's
Why don't you use numbers like 100 and 200 and
that's a good question, Susie. I think there's something psychologically that's in my
let's
about
put
this.
$100 in there.
Maybe I'm thinking about me personally. I'm like,
Yeah, I
oh,
think
okay,
you
I can
are.
give $27. So let's do 2,700.
Oh wow, that's really big.
We're big givers. And so this is what we're, when Caroline, when you asked about the optional support to PledgeIt, this is where you would do that. So this is the completely optional stage of your checkout where you could choose to give PledgeIt a tip. So like it says, PledgeIt is charging us $0 for the use of their platform, and they actually built this website for us too. But if you're looking to just give a pledge and you don't want to support, that is completely fine, absolutely acceptable. And so,
and if your
let's go
pledge
back
is
through that
something like
again.
$100, it doesn't look near that scary.
Yes, yeah. So if you click no tip, it will give you this little message and let you know, kind of what the tip is doing for them. And then you just click this continue without tipping. And then it gives you your typical checkout. This is what checkouts look like on a lot of websites and things like that. So you're going to fill out your name, your email address, and you have the option to give anonymously as well. So when you give a gift to PledgeIt, there's actually a log on the PledgeIt page that kind of shows most recent gifts. And it'll also show up underneath the team you're supporting if you choose to support a team or an individual. So if you want to kind of hide who you're, say you're giving to two teams who are locked in like very serious competition and you don't want them to know that you're supporting both of them, you can hide your name from public display by clicking that little button there. Then otherwise, you're just going to fill in your card number, and all of this is run through Stripe, which is our credit card processing account here at COPE. And so it's one of the more popular credit card processing groups that's used by multiple organizations, and we use it for all of our online donation processing. And then the really fun part about this is sharing a comment. So we used it as an example in Saturday's training. A lot of people, or a couple people gave for Susie's birthday. So you could leave a cute note in there saying why you're giving, or, you know, good luck with the challenge, or anything like that. That'll be fun to show. And then it'll actually show up on the campaign page when you go through with your contribution.
And we can show them that.
Yes. So
Yeah.
we're going to go back out of this. And so we're going to go back to the main page. So this is our main page. And you can see a lot of information by just going to this page and then scrolling. So this is, we'll come back to the registration process, but we'll see a lot of the same information that's on the CEC website. So we have a kind of a donation tracker here. So we have a goal of raising $30,000 with the campaign. Last year we raised over that amount with the Birdathon for the first time ever. And so this is kind of a little call out for support. You can also kind of send your pledge folks to this area too, to just let them know what the campaign's about, what it's supporting. And then we also have those Birdathon materials that we have listed on the website. The Birdathon packet is also available by clicking on this page as well. So it takes you to that same packet that we walked through there at the beginning. And then we mentioned it previously before, but if you keep scrolling, you can see the leaderboard. So this leaderboard shows the top 5 teams and individual fundraisers. So we can see right now that Birds of a Feather is the top distant team, and Birdaholics is the top local team. So you can see the amount of pledges they've raised so far. And so if you're wanting to get competitive, move up in the leaderboard, you can see those amounts. And then you can also see top fundraisers who are individual people. So Sherry Jetmore and Susie are both on teams, but this shows that they're at the top fundraisers as individuals as well right now. So, and then this is a great spot as well if you want to.
Actually, click on that little arrow by my name so they can see what theirs will look like over here on Birdaholics.
So you can click on any of these to see more information about that team, about that individual, and then we can, it also will show you what your page will look like when you get it done individually. So this is Susie's individual page. So she's got these adorable little ducks as her cover image there. It shows how much she's raised so far and her estimated number of species she wants to see. And it also totals up all of the people who have pledged per bird and lets you know what each of her species are actually worth so far. So that's a really cool way of doing that. And then when we talked about contributions, all of those pledges, if you decide to have your name shown and write a message, this will show up in multiple ways. So it'll show up individually for Susie. So Pat and John here, you can see their donations for Susie's birthday. And so those will also show up if we go to Susie's individual team. So we can see that those contributions also show up under the team page because Susie is a member of the Birdaholics.
And show them how each team, their team members, hit the little show more so they can see the whole team. That's what your team will look like when you get it complete. And
right, so if you're a team captain, this is your team page. So it looks very similar to what your individual page will look like. And you'll have all of the same options to personalize this stuff. So you'll be able to see how much your team overall is raised out of their goal, their name, and all of their team members.
And if you click on a team member, you'll see who's given to that. Do like Penny.
Like Penny, yep.
Yeah.
So Penny is another member of Birdaholics, and you can see the people who donated specifically to Penny.
And again, this is what each of your team members will have a page like this that they can personalize with a picture of themselves, a bird, or whatever. And their messages and notes will come there that for people that pledge to them.
And a really great shortcut, say you're checking out Penny's page, but you really want to go back and see the leaderboard again. You can always click on this Cope logo to go back to that main page as well.
Okay.
So we're going to, and so after our leaderboard, if you want to just see what giving is looking like right now, this is just all of our community activity that I mentioned before. So you can see overall what teams are getting support and when. So that's kind of a cool way to keep up on who's supporting who and how often people are supporting and those kinds of things if you're interested. So let's get started with walking through the registration process. So we're going to first start as a individual birder. So I am a team of one and I just want to bird solo. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose to fundraise on my own. So that's
Hey,
gonna be-
Ashley,
Sure.
it might be better if you showed them how to join a team so that they can help their team members join, because I think all these people that we're talking to are on teams.
Okay, great. Well, even if you're talking to someone else too, that's kind of what you would choose if you're completely solo. And these are all about the same process. So we can walk through, since join a team is more specific, let's go through
Yeah,
that.
like Carrie, for instance, if you want to help people join your team, this is where you would send them.
Right. So Carrie's wanting John White to join their team. So this is, we're going to act like we're him walking through this process. So we're going to join a team and we're going to fill out some basic information. So, and I'm going to use the email address and green account, which it may not, I already used this before. So let's go with a different fake email. Okay, so this is where they would search to join your team. So they've entered their first and last name and their email address they want to use for the account. So we're going to pick on Stephanie and we're going to join the Misfits. So
And basically right here, they are creating their own personal page. Their
Mhm.
name will then show up under your team and they can decorate it with pictures like these people have done, or whatever they want to do.
So this is the step for after you have already gone in as a team captain and built your team. Of course, it won't be visible yet if you ask people to go ahead and join your team, but you haven't created the account first. So you want to do that before you send people to join a team. So your team will actually show up in the selection. So you can, just from a single letter, it'll highlight. So if you're looking, if you search bird, of course, it's like kind of like a Google with autofill, it'll let you know. And so we're going to join the Misfits. Excuse me. And so all of these next steps are personalizations for them. So they're going to set a fundraising goal, which we've defaulted here, an amount of $500. They can put anything in there that they would like. Say that we're going to make it this larger level. And then we're going to throw in the number of species we want to see. So this helps inform the people who are going to pledge per bird, how much they potentially might give to you if they're going through the pledge process. The next step is more personalization. So they can add a profile photo. So we're going to click upload profile photo. If you're on your phone, it will go to either your files. If you're on anything besides a desktop version of the website, it'll take you to, for Apple, for example, it'll take you to your photo gallery. For some Galaxy and Microsoft phones, it'll take you to your files on your phone. So that would be just this kind of browser. And so we're going to hit browse. And so for me, I'm on a desktop computer, so it's going to show this screen for me. And I'm going to choose to have my profile picture be this picture of the walking trails at Cope. And so there is a size limit on your photos, so it will ask you to crop your image. And you can click and drag and pull this however you'd like. And you can move this box by clicking and dragging as well. And then you'll just hit crop. Wait for your image to upload. There's this little rotating revolver here that's letting you know when your picture is done, and then it should auto-populate in there for you. And we are going to hit next. And this is also a default that we've set. This is a place for you to write a specific story. You could talk about why you're a birder, why you choose to support COPE, what made you join the team specifically. This is all editable, and you can change it however you'd like.
Or you can leave it like that.
Or you could leave it exactly like it is if you don't have a huge preference on what your page looks like. So we're going to hit next. And then when we were looking at Susie's profile, her cover photo was the photo of those ducks. So this cover photo is a larger image. So a lot of people so far have been using photos that they've taken of birds themselves or bird photos that they really enjoy. So, or any kind of photo that you would like. So we're going to go through the same process of clicking upload cover photo. We're going to browse our files. And I don't think I have a good bird photo here, but we'll just use one of Lucky's Pond and the turtles. Same thing as before. This has a size limit as well. So it's going to ask you to crop your image. You can move that around. And then you're going to hit crop and wait for your photo to upload and then move forward. So we're going to hit finish. And then it does this really great thing. As soon as your page is ready, you can go ahead, and if you have email addresses of your friends and family at the ready, you can click this email friends and family and just invite those people to check out your page. It says invite donors, but this also just kind of gives them a link to check out that you're taking part in the CEC Birdathon. So you could click here on send email invites, and you're going to get started. And so I'm going to send this to myself. So I just want to let this person know that I'm taking part in the Birdathon. And then say you have more people to add, it'll let you add a ton of people all at once, or if you just want to send it off one at a time, you're welcome to do that. It gives you a pre-prepared message that you're welcome to change. And also you can completely avoid this as well, and we can show you how to do that and just send a personal email from your email address if you're interested in doing it that way. So the first thing that Susie and I talked about recommending to do when you get your profile page done, even if you are a team captain or a team member, is to go ahead, and there is this link right here that has the little kind of chain link next to it. If you click that, it copies it to your clipboard. And what I can do is I can go into my email mailbox, and I can go ahead and just paste that link. And I'm going to send this to myself, or I could send it to a friend, whoever, and when they click on this link, it's going to take them directly to your page. So they could go straight to your page to see what you're doing with the Birdathon. And so this is a great link to keep saved. Susie keeps her link in a note on her phone. So that way, if she finds somebody she wants to share her Birdathon progress with, she can just copy that out of her note on her phone. She can send it in a text, she could send it in an email, or she could post it on any social media platform that she likes.
And something that you might do, I did with Sherry, we practiced sending that to each other so we could see what exactly what the recipient was going to see. And that might make a difference on exactly what you say in your email. Like, like Carolyn, you could send yours to Eddie just to see so you can look at it.
Mm-hmm.
And Aaron or Carrie, maybe send yours to Aaron so she can see and make sure it's the way you intended it to be.
Okay, so let's go ahead and we walked through that process of how to add a team member, and let's go through and act like we are a team captain and do that walkthrough really quickly. So we are going to go back to that charity. We're going to go back to our main page at the Birdathon. And we are going to, if we are a team captain, this is what registration for your team would look like. Sorry about that. So we're going to hit register again. but this time we're going to go to create a team. So the only thing that's different in this setup is that we are going to create our team page as well as an individual page when we are the team captains. So notice the text change here where it says create captain page. So this is going to be your individual fundraising goal. So just like we did when we were joining a team, this is your personal goal that you want to set. And so this is where you'd fill in that information. And then we get into the team details. So this is where you'd set your team name. We are going to be the Rollin' Robins instead of the Rockin' Robins, which is the team I currently have. And we're going to set our personal team fundraising goal. So we're going to set an individual goal that we want to meet as a team. So this is all of your individuals combined pledge. Your team profile photo will just be like it shows here. It'll be the little circle image that shows up next to your team's name, just like your profile image does for your individual account. It'll be for your team. So when I go to the leaderboard on PledgeIt, we can see some examples of that. So for birds of a feather, it looks like Sherry has uploaded a picture of a feather with some birds coming off of it. Birdaholics has posted a picture of all of their team members with binoculars. So that's kind of what that's going to be when you upload it. So we're going to do the same process we did before. And this is going to be that profile image that shows up. And say we are going to just let that continue on. We're going to skip this step. There is a default profile picture that we've set that you can also use, that you don't have to do any personalization if you don't want to. And I can show you what that looks like. Again, you can tell your team story this time. You'll have an option, an ability to edit your individual story in just a second, but this is just for your team. So why your team gathered, who your team consists of, what joined you guys together. That would all be great information to put in there. Your team cover photo, you can see an example of what the default would be. This would be the same process as we did before. It's going to be that big image that when you click on your team page, it's going to be that really large image that you see first. And we're just going to go ahead and skip this step and use the default. All right, so your team page has been created. So that means that you can now start taking on members. But let's go ahead and we'll continue to customize our personal page. So we're the team captains, so we're going to customize our captains page. And so again, it gives you the option to upload a profile photo. This would be for your personal account. So for example, Susie has a picture of her next to her name for her profile picture. That would be that photo. We're going to skip this step. You can edit your story. This would be your personal story. And then you can also add a personal cover photo for your individual page. And so we're going to skip this one as well. And so when you create a team, it lets you view your team page right away. So this is what the team view looks like. So this is going to be very similar to your individual page. It will show your team name. And then when we talked about saving links, this would be a great way if you're a team captain to save your team link as well. So we're going to click that little icon with the chain link and we're going to copy that. And we can go ahead and throw that into a note on our computer or on our phone, or we can write it down and put it somewhere that we want to save. And it also shows you the full kind of URL there if you just put your mouse over if you hover over the link. And that's the link that you can send to people to support your team or check out your team's progress. Okay, so let's look at what, when we first log in, what that screen looks like. So when you first pull up this page and you are going to look at your account. So basically it will show you when you go to charity.pledgeit.org, say after you close your browser, after you log out, there will be, instead of this, these will be your initials. So TT was test, so it'll be your initials here. if you are not auto logged in, this personally, I keep all of my passwords saved on my computer, so it auto logs me in when I go to a website that I have an account for. If you are not auto logged in, it'll say sign in this space right here instead of the initials. So you would click sign in. And then you would enter your information, and then it would take you to your account home. So whenever you re-log in, this is the first page you're going to get. And so you can see on the left is just going to be your information. You can change your account settings. So say you want to change your email address that the account is set up under. You want to change your first and last name. So Caroline, if you set it up for one of your grandkids and they decide that they don't want to take part in it anymore, but another of your grandkids does, you could go in there and just change the name on the account instead of having to go in there and build a whole new profile. There's also a spot where you can change your password if you don't like it, or if you remembered it and you're afraid you're going to forget it, and set a new one. And then the important links for you will be your, it'll say my fundraising pages and my team pages. If you are a team member or a team captain, you will only have my fundraising pages if you're birding solo. So this, my fundraising pages will lead you to your personal account, just the one for you that has your first and last name on it. And just like we looked at Susie's, it'll have all of the details for your account on here. And this is ultimately where you'll go to update your species scene when we do the check-ins. So that'll be halfway through the challenge. So then if we go back to our account home and I am a team captain or a team member wanting to look at my my members page, that will be that click there underneath my team pages. All right. So
Does anybody have any questions so far?
Yes.
Yeah, it looks pretty self-explanatory, hopefully, so. Well, I say that now. You may get an email from me when I'm totally
Hey,
confused.
that's completely fine. So whenever we say you may want to make an edit, that's where we can kind of get into some details. You don't like the image that you have for your account, and this can be if you're a team captain, you want to edit it for your team page, or if you are an individual and you don't like something that's on your individual page. There is options to change those personalization settings that we set when we created the account. You would just go to, if you're wanting to change something on your personal page, you would go to my fundraising page and you would click there. And then you would come up here to this little pencil and you can click edit. So here it gives you kind of that back end view of your account. And so you clicked the little edit version or the little edit button, and you would just click that little pencil again over your profile picture. And then here is where you can update your profile picture, your cover photo, and you could change your story if you wanted to. And it's the same process as we did when we were creating our account. You would just click the little image or the little camera right next to the image you want to replace. And then you would browse for a file that you want to upload. And you can update those pictures. And after you make any changes, you want to make sure to come up here and hit save. So if there's no other questions, there's a lot PledgeIt can do that you absolutely do not have to do, but you're welcome to take part in if you want to share more of your journey with Birdathon, or just really do a lot of updates on your page. So whenever you go to your individual page or your team page, you can click this little edit, and it'll take you to this kind of back end version of your profile. And you can write updates. You could come over here to updates, and you could post, these are kind of like blog posts, or if you are wanting to really keep track of, or let those people know that are following you online, what birds you're seeing, or if you see if you see a lifer bird that you're really excited about, you could come to this page and post an update. So you can add some text, add a photo, which would be this little green icon. And whenever you make an update, it's emailed out to your donors if you choose, or you can just share it only on your page. But it's a great way to keep your people who are pledged to your birding updated. And outside of those 2 updates on May 16th and May 23rd. So if you have something really exciting happen before that first update or the last update, you can use, or the last check-in, you can use this update feature to send everyone who supported you a message to let them know how you're doing with your birding.
And actually, I assume that before we have to do our first update, because this is a lot of information for one session, that we'll
Absolutely.
send out some emails or reminders or some instructions so that you don't
Yes.
have to keep all this in your head right now.
Yeah, and they, all of the team, whatever email address you sign up with your account, PledgeIt will actually send you a message as well, letting you know that there's a check-in coming up and how to do that. So
that's great.
We'll be reaching out to you, and then PledgeIt will also give you a reminder via email too. So that'll come further, a little bit further in the challenge. When you're also in this screen, when you go to your personal profile here and you click edit, you can also, if you are someone who's keeping track of their donors you want to see it in a different view, or you want to see it all in one place, or download an Excel version of all of your donors that you've gained so far, you can come over here to the left and click on donors. And it'll let you see who you've invited to come view your, just a second. Oh, bye, Stephanie. So you can see who you've invited to join your page, or who you've invited to see your page. And then you can also click on donations to see just a massive list of all of your donations that you've received so far.
That will also be under your,
Yes,
on
and
the
that'll
leaderboard.
also show up here as well.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you don't have any other questions, I can walk through donating again with the per bird to show you what that looks like. It's the kind of the same thing. So we're going to act like we're supporting the Misfits. We're going to hit continue, and oh, I'm sorry, that's not the right screen. So this is to pledge a flat gift. So I'm going to go to Susie's page, and this is like if you sent someone your team page, you could send them this and then ask them to hit this pledge button specifically on their team. And say I'm going to support Amy. You can also choose to give per species seen. So that's kind of what this screen looks like. So we're going to pledge per species seen. We're going to choose to give $2.50 per bird with her 100
You went high.
estimated species. I mean, you told me to change my mindset, so that's what I'm doing.
I was actually kind of in the $101 range, but you're doing good. This is even better.
So you can also create a custom pledge amount, and it'll also fill in what that pledge would look like when you go to checkout. So it's now updated that you're going to give $2 per species seen, and your pledge total is $200. So that's nice that it gives you kind of that calculator function to say you only want to give a certain amount, and you want to see what that per species amount is. So, and then you can hit continue. It'll give you that same screen to ask if you are interested in choosing to give a tip. And we're going to just go ahead and say we're going to do that, and we would continue to payment. And the thing with pledges is that those are processed at the very end of the challenge. If you give a flat donation, it's processed immediately. And anytime you give a tip, that will also be processed immediately as well. So that goes straight to PledgeIt. But say I'm giving a $2 pledge, $200, I'm going to get, whenever I fill out all of this information and hit submit, I'm going to get an update on May 16th to let me know what Amy's progress was and if I want to change my donation. So I could change my $2 pledge to a $1 pledge if she sees, 150 birds. Or if I decide that maybe that pledge is a little too much for me, I can also decrease it without a change in her birding. So you can make that edit anytime you get those check-ins. So you'll get a check-in on the May 16th and then at the end of the challenge. So before that payment is processed, it'll update you again and ask you if you still want to pledge at that $2 per bird level. Alrighty, so I think that is it. I'll go ahead and I'll send out mine and Susie's email to you all. At the end of the chat here. So there is my email address and then Susie's. I can spell. And I think that is about it for PledgeIt and Birdathon walkthrough. So if you have any questions, please let me know.
Did the emails come up?
So if you go to the Zoom and you go to the little chat bubble, those are clicked there. And then we'll also be following up these trainings with an email too. We can send on the packet and the PledgeIt resource as well directly to you, so you can download it from there as well without having to go to the website.
When do you need us to sign up by?
So ideally before the challenge, but you can start getting pledge support at any time. So it's really whatever your preference is. So you could get, the earlier you get started, the more time we have to support you if you have any issues registering. But besides that, it's completely up to your preference. And then we'll start full force with our birding on May 7th.
Okay.
Yeah, it'd be best if we could get everybody signed up before May 7th so that you're ready to go. And I've kind of told the people on my team to, wait till a little bit closer. I mean, a few people have given pledges and there's nothing wrong with that at all. It's fine. I did it for practice to my teammates to make sure everything was working, but we'll hit it full force, a few days probably before the Birdathon starts is kind of like when we want to get really serious about it.
Yeah. And we don't have to, you don't have to be signed up by the May 7th date either. That just kind of cuts your time down. So if you want to register after May 7th on PledgeIt, you're welcome to do so through the end of the challenge. So if someone finds out about your birding and they ask you questions and want to join, they're welcome to do so.
Okay. Cool. Good.
Jean, did you have any questions before we jump off of here?
No, I'm good.
Okay, great. Well, yeah, like I said, thank you for joining the training and walking through this with me. And I'm so excited to see your guys' progress. And please reach out at any time with any questions you might have about PledgeIt, about Birdathon. We did add one thing that's kind of important to note that I don't think we talked about. If we're kind of doing an honor system with our birding. So we had the question, our last training of birds that you hear but don't necessarily see or are very secluded. So we talked about owls specifically. So if you can correctly identify their call and ID them, we are marking that as an ability to observe that bird, given their kind of secluded nature. So.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
I hear them, but yeah, I haven't spotted any this year yet, so.
They're hard to see.
And that plays into too about the bird education that we're trying to do about wildlife. So I think it's more fun if we can, we've clearly identified the bird and let's go ahead and mark it down. So.
Okay.
And we'll announce that because we didn't get that in the material. So we'll make sure make sure the captains know that, and then you can make sure your team members know that.
Yeah.
So.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's
No,
very
thank
helpful.
you.
I'll see how many grandchildren I can corral.
Well, good luck.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right,
Bye.
thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.